Oh, what a beautiful day it is in Night City. That is the weirdest thing to say. It's a beautiful day in Night City. But anyway, here's today's headline. Check this out. Cyberpunk 2077 dev issues trademark strike against unrelated Cyberpunk game. We're going to be talking about this one today. Plus, we're going to be talking about patch 1.31. It had some very positive and unexpected side effects to Cyberpunk. We'll dive more into that in just a moment as well. Plus, would another year really have saved Cyberpunk 2077? Really interesting article about that one. And we're going to be talking about another very big AAA game that just got delayed. This one's surprising, but yeah, it seems like there's going to be a flurry of brand new delays from the gaming world. So let's dive into this right now. Hey everyone, what's happening? Overworld Games here. Hope you're doing good. And yes, we are talking about more Cyberpunk 2077. First of all, we're going to go ahead and start out with this article about this recent trademark / copyright strike. So this one comes from GameRant.com. Let's dive into it right now. It goes on to say the following. As it stands, Cyberpunk is being patched left, right, and center in order to make it the game that it was supposed to be nearly 10 months ago. With CD Projekt Red issuing the latest patch to its open world sci-fi epic, each iteration is moving the multi-million selling title away from the mess that it was when it was launched in December. However, for some people, the reputation of the studio has already been marred thanks to the game's shaky launch, and it looks as though that reputation is only being ruined further, according to this one developer. Now it says this, in a post published on Twitter recently, user and game developer Ethan H. Reynolds has struck out against CD Projekt Red, the studio behind Cyberpunk, after their own game Neon Knights was issued with a trademark strike. Now the strike claims that Reynolds' game, specifically the artwork, is alleged to be violating rights despite the fact that their game is not related in any way to Cyberpunk. Reynolds says in their tweet that this could be down to a corporate bot that simply scans for the word Cyberpunk, despite the fact that, according to the tweet, the word can relate to a game as well as a specific game name. That's really rough and a little bit much, definitely overstepping the boundaries. We're going to go straight to Ethan's tweet right here. It goes on to say this, LOL at Cyberpunk game, Neon Knights and my designs are my own, thank you very much. This is some corpo stuff, not gonna lie. It was probably done by a bot who scans for Cyberpunk in the name, but that's a genre, not an entire IP. Neon Knights is my game, not yours. You can see here, he's talking about this. It says, we're sorry, but we have to remove your artwork from the Redbubble marketplace under our IP and publicly rights policy, because we received a complaint from someone alleging that your artwork violates their rights. It says the rights holders would be CD Projekt right here, and they're protecting Cyberpunk 2077 trademark right there. Now, of course, you got to know that there's several different Cyberpunk games in the works right now by many different developers, both independent developers, indie studios, bigger teams as well. But, you know, that doesn't mean that CD Projekt Red gets the rights to everything, of course. Now, what's interesting about this story here is there could be some confusion. It could have been an automated system being triggered. So we have to wait and see what is happening here, of course. But I have seen in cases where developers have really overstepped their bounds. You know, we have seen that with the GTA 5 mods before. We're seeing that with other studios as well right now. Now, it goes on to say this. The indie developer goes on to say that they have tried to support CD Projekt Red in the past, particularly when it comes to their games, but now says no more to defending the company. It does seem as though this could be a case of mistaken identity. According to the game's page on itch.io, Neon Knights is a tabletop role-playing game that just happens to have a cyberpunk dystopian theme and is not related to CDPR's title. So hopefully, perhaps, CD Projekt Red could step in here and fix this issue, because something is definitely happening. Now, again, you know, it seems like other companies have been involved with their own takedowns. It says the big conglomerates, are often known to come down hard and fast on independent creators over intellectual property rights. At the start of this year, Nintendo issued a DMCA takedown on over 300 fan-made games, not to mention the fan-made GoldenEye levels remade in Far Cry 5 being pulled by Ubisoft. It seems that Reynolds is not the only one to be the receiving end of corporate takedowns. However, in their case, it does seem as though this was done either through someone issuing a complaint or a bot simply misjudging the content of the game or its artwork. So again, it might not exactly be CD Projekt Red taking down this artwork. It could be a mistake by a bot, but it seems like he needs some help here getting this fixed because these automated systems can really go overboard. We'll see what happens with this one. But yeah, let's go on to patch 1.31. We have some really good news about this one. This is really impressive. CD Projekt Red did deliver something really cool here. Goes on to say this, patch 1.31 with RTX off. Check this out. This was posted by Dudo9898, and he showcases, look at the beautiful reflective surfaces here. This is not even with RTX enabled. I don't know why the quality is so bad, but anyway, you could see here how impressive this is looking with RTX off. So yeah, they've definitely done some major work with the actual graphics with patch 1.3 and 1.31, of course. So it seems like a lot of people are really pleased with what has happened with the game in terms of the bump in visuals. So it seems like there's been definitely some sort of, I guess you would say, graphics upgrade with patch 1.31. So that's actually really good news. But the biggest question is this one right here. A lot of us probably wonder this. Would another year have saved Cyberpunk 2077? And this is a really good one. Now, this one comes from Forbes. It goes on to say this: the past few days, Cyberpunk has been trending online, and not because of the new 1.31 patch that arrived this week. Rather, it's because amidst a flurry of announced and the rumored delays of game releases this fall, the phrase that kept being repeated was, they don't want to be another Cyberpunk 2077. No, I bet a lot of games do not. Now it says, would another full year's delay have saved Cyberpunk? First, I suppose there's the definition of what saving means. Cyberpunk 2077, even releasing in the state it did last December, sold 13 million copies that month alone, a massive haul. While we haven't gotten any numbers since, we are likely creeping towards 20 million copies sold at this point, which is really good, despite the problems that, of course, Cyberpunk has had. And it has really found its own audience. There are people that really are enjoying the game, don't get me wrong. Now, it goes on to say the following: rather, the saving would be more in terms of how the game is viewed and CD Projekt Red's reputation along with it. But if the game was delayed a year, what would have changed? This is the question. And yeah, this article is really fascinating. It goes on to say the following in terms of what else has been changed. Pretty much the entire year has been about performance issues, and bug fixes. There have been thousands and thousands of bug fixes with each patch, and yet more always remain. As recently as last month, we had a live stream with CD Projekt Red showing off an upcoming patch with T-posing happening in real time. I remember then the dev like immediately moved the camera off and was like, oh god, I hope no one saw that. It's too late, man. Now it says, so you'd never fix them all, and yet thousands of players running into thousands fewer progression blockers would have been a good thing. I was, however, able to beat Cyberpunk twice on 2 platforms without anything truly breaking the game unpassably, so the true severity of the bugs may be a bit overstated, as meme-worthy as many were. So yeah, with my experience, I actually stopped playing the game earlier because I couldn't actually progress. There were so many bugs happening. For me, it's a different story. The bugs were definitely influencing my play time and my experience with the game. So yeah. Now it goes on to say this: what wouldn't have changed at all? Most likely an actual core content in the game, which could be a good or bad thing depending on how you view what Cyberpunk offered at launch. On one side, you have a host of unrealized promises and missing features, and things like life paths meaningfully influencing the story simply did not play out the way CD Projekt Red pitched. On the other hand, I think you can make the case that Cyberpunk does have a pretty solid core story and fascinating universe, and has created some newly iconic characters between Panem, Judy, and V herself. There is a lot to like in the core game, despite what it's clearly missing. And finally, the article sums up by saying this: the ultimate point is another year certainly would not have hurt the game, and is in fact probably the bare minimum of what should have been required to release it. If it sold 13 million copies in December 2020, I have to believe it would have sold 13 million copies in December 2021, and would have done so without the ensuing scandals of removal from PlayStation Store, barely functioning last-gen versions, so on. CD Projekt Red may have also been able to hold on to the 55% of its stock price it lost in the past year, even though this entire rushed release was meant to please investors and executives in the first place. Yeah, and you know what? It wouldn't have had such a massive dip with the sales month over month, in my opinion. I think that it would have been able to sustain itself a lot more. And in terms of the PC space, where it sold the best and where a lot of the audiences actually is, I think a lot more people would have been into the modding stuff a lot more, much in the way that we see GTA 5 is hugely popular with modding. I think it would have been taken even further with Cyberpunk 2077. Now, can we get back to that level? It could happen, you know, in the next year or two. We'll see what happens in the future. But the good news is that yes, CD Projekt Red is supporting the modders and actually hiring like the core modding teams to really help out with the game and flesh out you know, mods that could potentially be upcoming for this game. So there is that, of course. Now, there is another really big AAA game that has been delayed recently, and that is Battlefield 2042, and it shows how worried publishers are about releasing a broken game because of what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. But yeah, you know, Battlefield has been delayed by, I think it's a few weeks. It's not too big of a delay right here, but we can read on the update from the Battlefield team. It says, we've made the decision to shift the launch of Battlefield 2042. The game will now be released worldwide on November 19th, 2021. So it's not like an extreme delay, but you guys may remember how Cyberpunk was actually delayed once, twice. I think it was a total of 3 times that it was delayed. But anyway, that could potentially happen here with Battlefield 2042. We shall see. I would not be surprised given that they are really probably paying attention to the gaming landscape and what has happened with what was supposed to be a really big AAA game with Cyberpunk at launch. All right, now it's time to go into your top comments. As always, remember, post a comment down below. It could end up right here in a future video. So my most recent video was this one. Cyberpunk just got a surprise update. What's new? Let's find out. Brand new updates. And yeah, they brought back reflective surfaces with this update, which a lot of people were complaining that they got rid of that. Now, if we go into the first top comment here, we have Yaredin, who says, personally, I want them to rework the gameplay and add and extend some features like life paths, cut areas, and content, more RPG elements, more customization options, and just maybe a third-person view. It's just wishful thinking of me. Smiley face. Oh man, yeah, third-person view, probably one of the top things that I think a lot of us would like to see. I just wish they would have went through with that. As you can see, this is from third person. You can see your customized character, the bike, which would be cool to fully flesh out and customize. All right, so we have Joa who says this. Yeah, it's pretty clear by the schedule the executives are adopting with Cyberpunk 2077. Major patches only before earnings calls, complete silence to customers, appeasing the investors every 2 weeks, and plans to sell new solutions instead of simply delivering what was promised. This is something that I've noticed. It just seems like when they talk to, I guess, their audience is primarily the investors. They're more interested in appeasing the investors. So I do agree with that one. It just seems like they're trying everything to get their stock price to go up. At least that's my opinion. But hopefully, you know, it seems like there's also, don't get me wrong, there's developers in the mix here that are genuinely interested in making this a very, very good game. Don't get me wrong. I really, really do believe that there are just developers that are caught in the crossfire with this one. Now, Zillis says this: they need to give the first expansion free to those that bought, pre-ordered the game, and did not refund. They can set a drop-off date like February 2021 or something. They have to show love to the ones that gave them a second chance. 100% agree. Greg says, yes, you need to reward your day ones who stuck it out. This should be automatic for any company. Yes, I really do think they need to consider more free incentives for people that are sticking around. And, it would even bring people back to the game. People really respect that sort of thing. Look at No Man's Sky. It has really built a core audience that is still sticking with the game, and because of how they have treated their audience, they can now take No Man's Sky, instead of having it just a game that launched and failed and tapered off, it's turning into a proper franchise. Now Chris1306 says, it's not how you launch, it's what it becomes. Todd Howard. CD Projekt really took this to heart. The Brainwash Commie says, Night City still feels like has the population count of a suburban town in the US Midwest. Even with the NPC count cranked up, Novigrad from The Witcher 3 actually felt believable and immersive. And that's another thing that Cyberpunk has always dealt with, is comparisons to The Witcher 3. And they are appropriate. I mean, it comes from CD Projekt Red. You expect this game to actually be better than that. But anyway, there it is, guys, the latest happenings around Cyberpunk 2077. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more updates about this one. And yeah, also, do you guys want to see coverage of Battlefield 2042 on the channel? Let me know about that. It's definitely a different type game compared to what I usually do, but maybe I can squeeze it in there somewhere. We'll see. But thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time. Take care.